Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Monday, March 4th, 2024, one day before Super Tuesday, and CNN speculating that today will be the day the Supreme Court reinstates Donald Trump on the ballot. Of course, we've been covering this since he was removed from the ballot, and we pointed out why on February 7th, CNN had the big headline up, why it was the 38th day of the year for Colorado, the 38th state in order of statehood, in regards to the court that's on the 38th parallel north in Washington, D.C. Again, why on that day CNN was saying that the Supreme Court had decided they were going to begin looking at this matter. Trump's removal from the ballot, a 14th Amendment decision based on him being an insurrectionist. And again, if you're new here, we'll get to what's behind the word insurrectionist as well. So, the thing you must know, as always, is Gematria. And let me pull up the right view here. The latest post on my website, GematriaEffectNews, about CNN's hyping of Trump likely going back on the Colorado ballot today. Gematria, again, what we talk about literally every day on this channel, because it's so important. Once you learn it, you just see through what a joke everything is. There are 4 base ciphers of the English language, which means every word in the English language has 4 numerical values attached to it. Gematria is the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words, and as you can see on the screen, election, Colorado, and leap year are all a perfect match in each of the 4 ciphers. 83 when you take the alphabetic order. A is 1, up to Z is 26. English is a 26-letter alphabet. A is the first letter, obviously. Z is the 26th. There's a reason there's an alphabetic order. It's because every letter is a number, just like it is in Hebrew and ancient Greek. If you take the alphabetic order with numerology, election, Colorado, and leap year are all 38. And there's been a lot of 38 rituals over the years with Colorado, including almost everything that's been going on with this matter. And we'll go back and look at some of the prior stories and what we've been documenting. Again, it was the 38th day of the year that CNN put up the story that the Supreme Court had decided to begin looking at the Colorado Trump ballot issue. Of course, that was the 38th day of the year, February 7th. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, election, Colorado, and leap year are all 133. And for the record, other words that equate to 133. President, White House, government. Again, back in 2015, the first GOP debate when they were trying to narrow down the field of candidates, the first time Donald Trump spoke, Fox News was hosting, and they put up the graphic on the screen when he spoke for the first time. Forbes says Donald Trump, the 133rd richest man. Again, they were projecting where he was going because it's all a rigged numerical joke. And again, D.C. is the Masonic city. Freemasonry is based in Kabbalah. This practice of letters and numbers comes from Kabbalah. So notice when you run the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology applied, election, Colorado, leap year, they're all 43. And what's today? It's the 4th day of the 3rd month. The majority of the world writes today 4/3 like 43. Keep in mind 43 is the 14th prime number, and this issue is over the 14th Amendment. So how perfect if the Supreme Court makes a ruling today when the Supreme Court is always operating by this numerical code, as is your federal government. Again, your nation largely founded by Freemasons. Again, Freemasonry largely based in Kabbalah, which is where this whole practice of letters and numbers comes from. With regards to Super Tuesday, it'll take place tomorrow, and they're speculating that Trump will be back on the ballot in Colorado for Super Tuesday. Can you believe that from his birthday, June 14th, to Super Tuesday is exactly 38 weeks? Exactly. And again, one more time, Colorado, the 38th state, like election, Colorado, and leap year are all 38. We've always called Colorado the 38th state. We've documented probably close to like 1,000 rituals in Colorado with the number 38 in the decade plus that we've been here. Colorado established August 1st, 1876 as the 38th state. 38 weeks is also 266 days. Remember, the Jesuit motto, Isus hominum salvator, equates to 266. Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope, who Donald Trump Jesuit educated himself, posed with at the Vatican on the most appropriate day back in 2017. But again, the Jesuit motto, Isus hominum salvator, 266. Pope Francis, the 266th Pope, 38 weeks, 266 days. From today to the upcoming election is a span of 247 days. Again, the country's 247 years old right now, as is the Illuminati. And you know how we're just showing the overlap with these words? Try out Super Tuesday and try out Illuminati and tell me what you see. Also write Donald Trump and tell me even further what you see. Again, the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. By the numbers, back on May 1st, 1776. We've seen a whole lot of 247 rituals in this time period. So Donald Trump leading all contestants by a large margin in delegates. Nikki Haley happens to be on 43 delegates in second place at this time. Funny that Donald Trump's on 244 delegates because the Illuminati's birthday, May 1st, is the day leaving 244 days left in the year. Again, try it out. Try out Super Tuesday, Donald Trump, Illuminati, and just marvel at the overlap. Okay, now let's go back and let's just revisit several of these stories we've covered with this contrived ordeal where every headline is releasing by the numbers about Trump and Colorado. We could even look possibly at the main one a bit later. This headline was from December 27th. At the time, Michigan Supreme Court kept Trump on the ballot for the time being before he was removed. The word insurrectionist. The word insurrectionist has a gematria value of 78. Today is 78 days after the Pope's birthday. And again, the Supreme Court is about to dismiss this insurrectionist accusation against Trump today. Again, Washington, D.C., the Jesuit stronghold, Pope Francis, the first publicly Jesuit pope. It's 78 days after the Pope's birthday. I better bring up the calculator just so you can see it with your own eyes. Again, we're on a calendar named after the Pope. Notice how the word insurrectionist equates to, whoops, I got to spell it right. Insurrectionist. There it is. Insurrectionist, 78. Okay? Insurrectionist, 78. Supreme Court. I take it back. Supreme Court overlaps a lot with Super Tuesday, though. Supreme Court and Super Tuesday. But the word Jesuit itself is also 78. Big number with the Jesuits. And again, 78 days after Pope Francis' birthday, which is December 17th. In case you don't know Pope Francis' date of birth, let me put it up here. December 17th, the first day is Saturnalia. And if you measure from that day, December 17th, 2023 to today, again, 78 days later, Donald Trump, one of the many Jesuits in high places in our federal government. Again, D.C., always the Jesuit stronghold. But Trump is also turning 78 later this year. And the name Trump, or the word Trump, is associated with tarot cards. The Trump cards are the top cards. There's 78 cards in the tarot deck. There's 22 Trump cards in a tarot deck, meaning the non-Trump cards are the 56 remaining. Let's not forget that this year's election will be on the day leaving 56 days left in the year. And that's remember the 5th of November, Guy Fawkes Day, which is very special to the Jesuit order. And their formal title, again, is Society of Jesus, which is 56, like Washington, D.C. is 56, like Pope, who the Jesuits serve, is 56. Like how when Pope Francis spoke in D.C. as the 266th Pope, he did it on the 266th day of 2015, which was September 23rd, which is a date that can be written 23/9, like 239, the 52nd prime, and you can see Pope's 52 as well. You might recall the Super Bowl that the Pope blessed. That was the one where Matt Ryan, Jesuit educated, who went to Boston College, gave up the 25-point lead to the Boston team on 2/5 in the year they moved the touchback to 25 yards. But you see how Pope's 25? The Pope did bless that Super Bowl. He hasn't blessed any other Super Bowls. That's because Super Bowl 51 was on the 51st day of his age. But Donald Trump, that was also days after Trump became president. And you might recall January 19th, the day before he officially became president, right before the Super Bowl, Trump, he spent 20 minutes, or excuse me, he was on TV for 20 minutes the day before he was inaugurated. Big interview that night. And he literally spent 10 of the 20 minutes talking about the NFL and the Super Bowl and how big of a Tom Brady and Bill Belichick fan he was. It's like, wow, this is the focus of the man who's about to become the leader of the nation. Half of his 20-minute broadcast is how he's real excited about the football game. But again, it's not an accident that there was a 25-point comeback over the Falcons. You know, Tom Brady kissed the hand of the Pope early in his NFL career. So again, just a reminder that all things synced and rigged with the Pope. You know, all things. Rigged sports, rigged elections. Let's not forget Joe Biden elected number 46, exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, inaugurated on the Pope's 35th day of his age, going right there with JFK, the 35th president, assassinated at age 46. Okay, so coming back to this, again, it's all about the insurrectionist ritual. And at the time of this, when they upheld it, they did it on 46-date numerology. The ruling came a week and a day after Colorado. Hold on. Let me go back to the beginning. Because this is in the middle of the process. This isn't the beginning either, but just so many stories by the numbers. You might recall this one from the beginning of the year, January 2nd, 2024. Notice it was 308 days before the election. This was a man who was upset that Trump was removed from the ballot, so he shot at the court building while no one was in it. But notice he did it 308 days before the election. Key digits 3 and 8. And that was also 44 weeks on the nose. We see 44 encoding and shooting propaganda all the time. Shooting 44 like gunfire, like mass shooter, like military. Let's not forget in 2016, on November 5th, which was a few days before the election. The election was on November 8th in 2016. The election was called for Trump on November 9th, the anniversary of the fall of the wall when he ran on building a wall. and it was the anniversary of the fall of the wall that Reagan said to tear down. And Trump ran on mega like Reagan against all these rituals. But with regards to 44, Donald Trump was number 45, like Berlin Wall equals 45, but he was also the 44th person to be president because Grover Cleveland had the split term. And now Trump's trying to become the first split term president since Grover Cleveland. But yeah, exactly 308 days or 44 weeks. And again, it was November 5th, 2016 that Trump supposedly survived an assassination attempt in Nevada. If you want to go back and revisit that headline. They didn't show any assassination attempt, any shooting, but that was the headline and story. And again, things don't really have to happen to have actually happened. They just have to be reported in the news and people will automatically believe it because people are under this kind of mind control. They're waiting for their regularly scheduled programming. So just to go back and look at some of the details in this story, notice the shooting happened while the court was on a break, and it said the break came 2 weeks after the court ruled 4-3. 4-3. Isn't that interesting? Colorado 43, election 43, leap year 43. And now what date are we on? Is it the 4th day of the 3rd month? And now they're going to probably put him back on? Again, it's all high ritual. But then scroll down. It says Tuesday's incident, this is the shooting incident, began unfolding around 1:15 a.m. Oh, that's interesting because isn't the date of the upcoming election November 5th? Another 115 sequence. Just like how when Donald Trump took office after the 2016 election, he took office with the 115th Congress, and then he went on the thank you tour, something a president's never done before. That's because it was all by the numbers. Thank you equals 115. And then let's not forget he hired Steve Ray, the Nationals announcer for Inauguration Day, And then the Nationals won the 115th World Series 138 days after Trump's birthday, when Donald Trump equals 138, Nationals equals 138, Dave Martinez equals 138, that's the Nationals manager, Federal equals 138. Again, nothing but jokes, nothing but a big rigged game. And let's also not forget that the first primary this year was on January 15th. Donald Trump won the January 15th Iowa caucus, and they said he got 56% of the vote, like how November 5th, 115, like January 15th is 115. Again, that day leaves 56 days left in the year. And they've been doing a lot of 56 rituals with Donald Trump. 2020 was 56 years after his Jesuit education began, and literally the 56 pandemic, that was the year it was declared. It might as well go down in the history books as that, the 56 pandemic, because that's all it really was. You know, a 99.9% survivable virus that kills 80-some-year-olds in nursing homes isn't a real pandemic. But what was real was just all the 56 rituals is everywhere, from Gavin Newsom the Jesuit to the 56th Governor Cuomo, who went to Fordham like Trump, to Mr. 56 Anthony Fauci, to Mr. 56 Boris Johnson, you know, the bad barbershop brother, the two guys from New York with the bad haircuts, the leaders for the United Kingdom and the United States. It's all these jokes, like a real-life SNL episode. But yeah, just look, I mean, everything is reported by the numbers. So consider this is, you know, seemingly predictive programming. We know RFK got in the race this year 144 days after the Superior General's birthday, which is weird because his dad died while running for president at 1:44 a.m. And then, of course, his uncle JFK was killed 144 days from meeting with the Pope, going right there with Lincoln being shot on 14/4. Again, Jesuit orders 144 like the United States of America. But okay, that was one of the many good rituals we've covered with Colorado in 38. And let's see. Oh, by the way, when Colorado called the state for Joe Biden, they'd collected 322,000 votes. We've documented so many 322 rituals all over the nation, but also several in Colorado, from mass shootings to things like this. Remember the Kroger shooting 322 days after the last Kroger shooting that happened in Colorado? Part of the reason they like to associate 322 with Colorado is because, remember the 83 Gematria of Colorado? That was just the most simple cipher. Colorado's 83, like election, like leap year. The nickname for Skull and Bones, or Order 322, is Brotherhood of Death, which equals 83, as does the word murder. And there's also a reason that you see a lot of mass shootings in Colorado, including the one at the theater of the Batman premiere where the stadium explodes as they show Section 322 on the screen, which goes with American football being credited to Walter Camp, who was a member of Yale Skull and Bones Order 322. I don't know what is going on here. This is so weird. Okay, Trump appealed. So the day after that shooting, the day after the shooting, that was a clear ritual, Trump appealed. That was the day he appealed being removed from the ballot. And notice, from that day to his upcoming 78th birthday was 163 days, which is the 38th prime number. So Donald Trump waited until January 3rd, one day after the shooting, to appeal. And obvious reason why. For all you baseball fans in Colorado, check it out. Colorado Rockies, 163, the 38th prime. And by the way, I got to put something out there. I used to always say, and it used to be true, I used to always say, if you ever have to bet the house, which is never really a good idea, but if you have to bet the house, the best thing to bet the house on in sports is a Colorado 38 ritual. It was a pattern that played almost every time, damn near 100% in all sports, all the time, for, I don't know, about 8.5 years. But in the last year and a half, Colorado in 38, it still plays. It's just it probably only plays now in about 70% of games. So it's nowhere near perfect anymore. But still a winner. It's just, see, people are catching on. Too many people have learned the knowledge. There's like literally over 100 people in the world that teach Gematria exclusively for sports gambling. And again, it's just the power of the knowledge. It's used to rig the market. It's used to rig the sports games. It's used to rig the election. But there's a reason that it comes back to the same numbers and the same rituals in the same places over and over. There's no more 38 state than Colorado because it is the 38th state and its Gematria equals that. But you can see what a joke all this is. Well, I mean, why didn't Trump appeal right away? Why would he wait until 163 days before his birthday? Well, we have the answer why. And again, synced up with his 78th birthday, Insurrectionist 78, 78 cards in the tarot deck. The day he appealed was a date with 48 numerology as well. Donald Trump is 48. Notice how Cleveland, he's trying to become the next Grover Cleveland, being a split-term president. Again, Cleveland was the 22nd president and the 24th president. Donald Trump announced at the end of 2022 that he was running for 2024, and he received a lot of criticism from the media, and people said, why is he even doing it now anyway? It's too early. This isn't when people announce for a 2024 election. He should be announcing next year. Well, he did it because it was a ritual. 22-24. Had his 2016 convention in Cleveland. Cleveland, 78. Trump's going to be 78. Donald Trump's birthday, June 14th. That's the 165th day of the year. Cleveland, 165 when you run it in reverse. Cleveland, 48 like Donald Trump. Here, let's come back and just write up Super Tuesday. Super Tuesday. See the numbers? Supreme Court. Illuminati. Compare. Supreme Court, Super Tuesday, overlap with 3 of the 4 ciphers. They're making their ruling the day before Super Tuesday. Illuminati, Super Tuesday, overlap, 48, 150, 69. Let's add a Donald Trump up there. Donald Trump, 48, right? 48. Where's he come from? Hollywood. Just like Ronald Reagan. Hollywood, 48. If Joe Biden does not finish his term, Donald Trump could potentially become the 48th president and the first split-term president since Grover Cleveland. And again, Cleveland's got the 48 as well. Okay. And, in Hollywood, they script everything out, right? They write the story. They find the right actor for the part. He plays his part in the script. They call it theater. What do they call politics? Don't they always use the term political theater? Don't they attach theater to everything like in the news? Today in the theater of war. Next thing you know, you go on Facebook and you get a little email after the war. The theater of war began in Russia, Ukraine, and it says, if you question the events in Ukraine, you will be demonetized. It's like, well, how? I can't question the theater of war in Ukraine, or I'll be demonetized? Facebook lifts its hate speech policy if you want to talk hate speech to Russia. It's like, wow. Back to your regularly scheduled programming. Anyway. The same thing in Israel right now, by the way. Remember when they were televising when we were bombing Baghdad after we invaded? Like it was a Hollywood blockbuster? Turn in to CNN for Operation Shock and Awe. My God, this nation is sick. All right, here, let's go back through some of these other headlines. Let's go back through some of these other ones. All right, the speculation began that Trump would go back on the ballot December 28th. And again, this was from Trump's last birthday to the day that they put this up was 197 days from his birthday, the 45th prime. And again, Donald Trump number 45. And they did that on 83 date numerology. On 83 date numerology, we got the speculation that he'd go back on the Colorado ballot. He was removed from the ballot December 19th, 2023, a Tuesday, a voting day. And that came exactly 46 weeks before the election, when he's expected to go up against number 46, the guy who lost his son Jr. at age 46, perfectly synced the Pope, just like how he became number 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. And keep in mind, he's going against Donald Trump, who's born in 46, like George W. Bush and Bill Clinton. It's more than a number. With regards to that whole Illuminati thing, December 19th was 188 days after Trump's birthday. And that it is a big Illuminati number, 188. It's associated with our money. The dollar bill has the Illuminati symbolism all over it. the U.S. dollar bill denominations, the 1, the 2, the 5, the 10, the 20, the 50, the 100. You add it together, it's 188. Donald Trump, Mr. Money, with his gold suite in New York and his gold statue with the golden comb over. But Bavarian Illuminati, 188. The thing about 46 weeks before the election is it was also 322 days. So he was removed 322 days, right? We were just about this. Order 322, Skull and Bones, Brotherhood of Death, 83, election. So 46 weeks is 322 days. And if you write out Skull and Bones, remember it has the 202 connection. DC is the 202 area code. You got prominent members of Skull and Bones all over that place. Let's never forget that George H.W. Bush of Skull and Bones was number 41, born June 12th, the day leaving 202 days left in the year. And his son, George W. Bush, born July 6, 7-6. The Georgia Guidestones came down on 7-6, his 76th birthday, and they were put up on 322, March 22nd. And then the 149 matters too, because that's the 35th prime. JFK was born on the 149th day of the year. He was smoked along Interstate 35 in Dallas, which also equals 41. Established in 1841, while number 41 was there in attendance years before he became number 41, again, George Herbert Walker Bush. And when H.W. was asked about why he was there that day, he says he doesn't know. I think we know why. I think we know why he was there. All part of some big, sick, twisted Illuminati secret society ritual by the numbers. And with regards to Colorado and Skull and Bones, let's also not forget that they won the finals last year. 4-1, led by Jokic, number 41, on the anniversary of number 41's birthday, June 12th. They synced up that NBA Finals with his birthday, and then they synced up the 119th World Series with the guy who used to run the Rangers, George W., and it ended on his 119th day of his age. Okay, also, prior to him being removed, this was CNN's front page on November 18th, prior to his removal. This was the front page, the 322nd day of the year. Also, this ruling was on the 163rd day of the 14th Amendment's age, the 38th prime. Okay. The insurrectionist ban, or excuse me, the 14th Amendment was passed by the Senate on June 8th. And then it was officially instated on June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. But the thing about it first being passed by the Senate on June 8th is it's 6-8, right? And Donald John Trump has got that 68. And again, if you're new here, 68 is just an all-important number. We talked about recently why the Gregorian calendar was instated on February 24th, the 337th day of the Jesuit priest's age who designed it, which is the 68th prime. And, mathematics is 68, and Catholicism is 68, and solar system is 68, and it's based on the sun, which has the old name of Helios, which is 68, and it's why 1968 was such an important year. So, just the whole 14th Amendment, its historical date, also ties in with Donald Trump. And you can see it was officially passed by Congress after the Senate on June 13th. Again, that's the day before Trump's birthday, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. And if you're new here, the Jesuit Order 201, huge history with the Jesuits in 201, including Trump recently burying his ex-wife on the 201st day of the year after she fell down the stairs and died 60 weeks into the Jesuit Ignatian year when he's running for the 60th presidential election. And again, his name's also 60. Donald Trump's 60. Again, the whole thing with Alvin Bragg. All right, I got to add a letter in there. Alvin Bragg, 60. Indictment, 60. Again, there's been a million Donald Trump 60 rituals leading up to this 60th U.S. presidential election. including him and Trump, or him and Biden both being down in Texas on the 60th day of the year, and Trump was in Eagle Pass, Texas, where the eclipse. It'll be like right about where the eclipse begins on 4/8. But Eagle Pass, Texas, and where was Trump or Biden? He was in Browning, Texas. Or no, is it Brownsville? What was it? Brownsville? Yeah, Brownsville, Texas. That's what it was. Okay. So, again, 38th day of the year. Top court to consider if Trump can run for president. 38th day of the year, right? 38th day of the year. Colorado, 38th state. D.C. on the 38th parallel. Just more about 38. It's a special number. Remember, this whole thing in Gematria comes back to energy. Energy's 38, right? Donald Trump, this polarizing figure, manipulates people's energy. How many divorces happened in the nation over Donald Trump? They said that was a thing. Remember, they were covering that back then. How divided households were over Donald Trump. Energy, 38. Kabbalah, 38, where this whole thing comes from. Gematria, 38. English, 38. How many deaths for these candidates? Biden gave up his wife and daughter in 72, and then when he was 72, he gave up his son, and then next thing you know, President Biden equals 72, President Trump equals 72, Jesuit order 72, but death 38, like murder 38, like killing 38, like RIP 38, like so many big death rituals in Colorado over the years, especially when it comes to mass shootings. Again, Columbine, since Columbine, just way more mass shootings. The Batman premiere shooting in Colorado. And then Sandy Hook shortly after, and then just way more shootings. Okay. Ritual sacrifice, a big part of being on the world stage. Donald Trump's brother dead on the Jesuit order's brother. His sister, who was a member of the Reagan administration as a lawyer, dies the day that Donald Trump Jr. appears in court. And all things we covered earlier. Let me see. There's other stories. So you can always go back and go to my website and read some of these other stories and the ritual they're doing in Maine. Oh, the reason I was looking at... it's earlier I was looking at this Michigan one, and that's why we were in the wrong state. That's why I was like, where's this one fit in? The Michigan one? Hold on, I'm getting confused with this. Yeah, there's a lot of posts you can read, but a big one was that shooting one at the court. Again, to me, that's the one where it's just like, because I've been wondering since they put RFK Jr. in by the numbers, that same old assassination number, where they're taking this to. Don't forget Bill Maher, that little Jesuit on that Jesuit-run HBO network, at the time of January 6th. Again, the event that we saw coming before it happened, because it was all simulated at Georgetown. On June 12th, the day leaving 202 days left in the year in the 202 area code. But after January 6th, Bill Maher, his episode was that January 6th is the 93 World Trade Center bombing, and in the 2024 election, we'll see 9/11, the equivalent of 9/11, come out of it. So again, they're telling you the script. And everything that they're doing right now, the Civil War movie coming out by the numbers. That's another huge Jesuit thing, which we already covered, why that movie premiered or debuted, the trailer for it 201 days after Alex Garland's birthday. It's his film. Again, Confederate equals 201. The Albert Pike Confederate statue in D.C. fell 201 days before January 6th. Again, the Jesuit order's 201. But you got a King Charles right now. Those who fought for King Charles in the English Civil War were Cavaliers. You got a new show that just came out on the 58th day of the year, like Trump won the 58th election. President Trump equals 72, like President Biden. It came out 72 days after the Pope's birthday, the first Jesuit Pope, who became Pope on the 72nd day of the year. It'll be the 11th anniversary, March 13th, of Pope Francis, the first Jesuit Pope. Again, Jesuit order's also 72. But this new show that just came out, Shogun, is about the Civil War in Japan and what was going on over there with Europeans in the country, and there being a battle between the Protestants and the Catholics and the Jesuits, even in Japan. Again, why'd they put that show out at this time? About the Japanese Civil War? And let's not forget the last superior general of the Jesuits just died in Japan recently by the numbers, Adolfo Nicholas, May 20th, 2020, at age 84. Again, superior general equals 84, so does Jesuit. Jesuit's 78, like we talked about. The other way, it's 84. But yeah, it's... Again, you just learn this, you just see. You see the big jokes on us every single day. This started with a 4-3 ruling. Now it's likely going to get overturned on 4-3 by the Supreme Court. Again, 43, the 14th prime number. It's about the 14th Amendment, which even has a 201 connection. It's just, it's sick, man. It's sick. And just, just so many rituals along the way. One of the most blatant ones last year was April 4th, when Donald Trump was in court in New York for the first indictment from Alvin Bragg, big 60 ritual. But Donald Trump is in court on 4/4, what would have been the 44th birthday of Heath Ledger, who died while playing the Joker, at the same time, or just days after they'd filmed the latest Joker scene in the same courtroom. And that last Joker movie came out while Trump was president, while Joaquin Phoenix was 44 years old. Again, Trump said he's Batman, Joker. Joker associated with cards, tarot cards, Trump cards. Jokes all day. And I forget, there's an old post here on that Joker film and Trump and... Oh yeah, Donald Trump's day in court. Not only was it the Heath Ledger thing, it was also the 100th birthday of Warner Brothers, who, have a lot to do with the Batman series. But yeah, that's why Hollywood's always giving out the predictive programming. The same people running Hollywood are running your nightly news. They're running your elections. One nation under one Jesuit deception. Oh, yeah, that's right. The April 4th day that he appeared in court. That was also exactly 83 weeks before the election. On a Tuesday, like a voting day. Stormy Daniels, 44 at the time. You remember they released John Hinckley from prison right when Trump became president, too? It's like, what's that about? Because John Hinckley shot Reagan. I mean, it happened right after Trump became... It's like, what in the world? So these parallels, now John Hinckley's getting released? But yeah, the day that Trump appeared in court was also 44 weeks after John Hinckley's last birthday. And there it was, exactly 83 weeks to the election. The 60th U.S. presidential election. So, and I mean, people should be outraged. We're paying for all this. We're paying for all these federal judges. We're paying for all these federal positions. And every day it's nothing but a puppet show and a deception to keep us distracted. And I mean, think about it. Every year when an election comes around, they have some new thing that they got us all focused on that's the big deal. And it's like, it's never the thing that really matters to us. I mean, what should be happening is way less taxes. Way less taxes. I mean, that should really be the only issue. Way less taxes. Our government is so overbloated. We don't need more money to solve our problems. Case in point, we spend more money than anybody on education, and we have almost nothing to show for it. We literally have one of the dumbest populations in the Western world, yet spend the most money per student. I mean, again, more money is not the answer. And all this money that we pay to a government that does this with it. We wonder why we have such a rich ruling class. They're all really just a bunch of puppets and frauds, supposedly entrepreneurs, but we know they're not. All these faces of these companies, these mega billionaires that we know they're not really the people who they're said to be. They're all just Jesuit puppets on the strings, from Elon Musk, so obvious. I mean, Elon Musk is now spending his days playing Diablo 4. He's got max-leveled characters. How can you run all these companies and have time to play video games? Impossible. Impossible. Let's not forget that Diablo 4 game came out 201 days from the Superior General's birthday. Let's not forget that either. Anyway, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, the rest of them. Sundar Pichai, Mr. 201, the mass layoffs for Google, 201 days from his birthday. All those people that got an email letting them know they'd lost their job. That was the way they were notified. And let's not forget that Google celebrates their birthday on September 27th, the anniversary of the Jesuits being recognized by Rome, and partners with the government and took over in the 21st century. Again, Google wasn't a thing until 2001. About the same time 9/11 happened, about the same time everyone was getting cell phones in their pocket and the government was changing the law so they could listen to you and spy on you. The next thing you know, Google's working with the federal government along with Apple to keep surveillance over the country after Event 201 and the cooties pandemic. Google just become a monster overnight out of nowhere. My whole high school career, we'd never heard of Google. I graduated in 2001. But then freshman year of college, same time 9/11 happened, all the professors were telling us we got to start using Google. Google's the thing. Google's the search engine. Make sure you're on Google. Google. And then next thing you know. But it's because all this stuff is government, and it's all agenda, and it's all one big surveillance system. And those are the things, those are the really only issues. The surveillance, let's say yours truly was president. All I'd be talking about each day is how Americans need to get their minds right, their bodies right. We need to cut down all of this overtaxation. We need to shrink government to something so teeny tiny. The problem with government is its power and it corrupts. At the end of the day, I feel like you could fit everything on a piece of paper that should be the rules for a justifiable society. The tax code could be super simple. Doesn't need to be pages and pages that changes every year and keeps everything super confusing. Everything can be so simple. It could be like 5 laws probably for the nation that everyone could agree to that are fair. Just everything simple, not complicated, agreeable, and just, again, these are really the only issues. We're paying way too much in taxes to a system that's so corrupt. We need to stop intervening in everyone's affairs across the world. If we can't be the greatest country with the huge landmass that we already have, if we have to, we should figure out a way to use what we already have and not have to be invested in everyone else's affairs worldwide. We're a huge landmass. Again, it's just simple things need to happen in this country. But they always got us distracted with something. And they're always just creating new things. Like, I'm voting for that person because, that they still know what a man and a woman is. Like, can you believe that people aren't voting on that? I get it because they're outraged because the other party's like, I'm not sure what the difference between a man and a woman is. But it's like, these are all distractions to drive us nuts. What really matters for all of us is that we're overtaxed, we're lied to, our government's totally corrupt, it's doing God knows what really with our money. We know they're not doing all these NASA missions by the numbers that cost tens of millions a days. That just all these things need to be exposed. So many programs need to be shut down. We need to stop. Another thing we do, we pour all this money into research and development for pharmaceutical drugs, and then once they're discovered, we hand them over to Big Pharma, and then they charge people a fortune for them. It's like, well, wait a minute. A lot of those drugs were developed with taxpayer dollars. Now the taxpayer has to pay a fortune to use the drug? Again, these are the things that matter that nobody's even talking about. Always some new crap in the news, and it's always beside the point. The fact that other things that matter, the fact that no doubt our government funnels drugs into certain communities to destroy them, that's another thing that needs to be addressed. It's like 40 years overdue. Okay. Anyway. We'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. For all the people who think Donald Trump is going to come back and save your nation, he's not. Donald Trump, he probably destroyed your nation more than any president the time he was here, and a lot of you just don't even blink an eye at it. What do you mean he did? I mean, how can you not see what he did? Have you ever seen the First Amendment under more fire than when he was president? Nope. That's the thing that makes America America. I've never seen the First Amendment get so destroyed in such a short period of time. So the most American thing there is got the most destruction to it in the time of his presidency. That puts him right up there alone for arguably the worst president ever. And then how about what happened to the country? Did he not go along with the agenda out of Switzerland that was simulated by them? Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum. Yeah, I guess technically they did the simulation in New York, but it was still those Swiss bankers that simulated the pandemic on the day the military World Games took place in Wuhan, China, and then Donald Trump went along with all of it. The lockdowns, the printing of money, which is what caused the inflation. Again, when you print record amount of money, you're going to have record inflation. That's the real reason that everything's so expensive. Actually, I won't even say that's the real reason everything's so expensive, because our entire economy's fake. Just like when Ukraine happened, Ukraine equals 79, and they said inflation was up 7.9% because of Ukraine. It's like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, the economy is fake. But still, if it wasn't fake, and that is part of what the excuse is for inflation, all the printing of money. If the economy wasn't fake, when you print money, there is inflation, because that's the way it works. The money's supposed to be based on a supply of valuables like gold. And, if initially it's $100 is what's distributed throughout the country, and it's based on the supply of gold, well, if you have to print, now all of a sudden there's $200 in supply, well, you've just halved the value of money. Obviously, there's more than $100 in distribution, but I'm just making a point. When you print more money and it's based on that same pile of gold, then all that money becomes worth that much less. So, just like, and we called all this right away. Before we even received our first $1,000 COVID stimulus check, I said, this isn't good for anybody in the long run. This is just going to make our money worth less. And everyone who has money saved, who's retired, like say you're like my dad and you worked your whole life and all you have saved in the bank is less than $500,000. I think my dad, when he retired at age 70, had like $410,000 saved for his lifetime savings. Well, now that everything's about, you go to the grocery store, about 20% more, that makes your $410,000 worth about 20% less. So now it's like you have $300 and some $1,000 in the bank. And a lot of people are in that situation. So for all his working years, he started working in the late 60s, first job out of high school. All those years of work to accumulate not that much, and then to have just almost overnight it become worth a huge chunk less. So many people just like my dad. It's a common American situation. And yeah, that's this guy. That's Donald Trump. Donald Trump, who did nothing to protect the First Amendment, who went along with the worst agenda ever that cost people their livelihood, their businesses, their savings. That's Donald Trump. And understand, this isn't some advocating for the Democratic Party. They didn't do anything to stop it either. I'm just saying Donald Trump, so many people think he's going to come back and save us all. He's not going to do anything. He's going to go along with the next agenda. You could blame the border situation. Didn't he promise that he was going to get a wall built that was going to stop all this and he was going to make Mexico pay for it? Now he's running on finishing that. Well, you already said you were going to do it. You said you were going to get it done last time. So, you could blame, they want to blame the whole border thing on Biden. You could blame it on Trump. Had Trump done what he said he was going to do, there'd be a big wall. Mexico would have paid for it. Wouldn't have costed the taxpayers anything. None of that happened. Said he built a big wall, spent a ton of money with holes in it, so it's worthless. So he wasted a whole bunch of taxpayer money. So Donald Trump, let's look at the legacy. First Amendment destroyed under him. People's businesses and livelihood destroyed. Value of the dollar destroyed. Wasted money on a Swiss cheese border wall. How can people be worshiping this guy? But it's all a joke. If the nation wasn't a joke, would we have to choose between him and a man who's losing his mind? And they're likely going to remove Biden, like we've been saying for a long time. He very well will not finish his term. We've thought since the day he took office that he'll probably leave around June 1st, 2024. That was the initial prediction from this camp. And again, never forget what Gerald Ford said. Gerald Ford said at the Herbert Hoover Library, Gerald Ford was the 38th president. Gerald Ford said at the Herbert Hoover Library that someday there'll be an old man as president who will die in office and not finish his term, and there'll be a younger female president, and she'll become the first, or younger female vice president, she'll become the first female president. Again, if you've never seen Gerald Ford say that at the Herbert Hoover Library, I believe he said it in 1989, if I'm not mistaken, go back and listen to that, because it matters that he did it at the Herbert Hoover Library, because guess what day? Look at this. Here, let's close out with this for how big of a joke our government is. Herbert Hoover, Kamala Harris. Look at this, you guys. If you don't know this. Herbert Hoover died October 20th, 1964. You know who was born that day? You know who was born that day? Keep in mind, this year will be the 60th anniversary. The 60th anniversary this year for the 60th election. Kamala Harris, born October 20th, 1964. The same day Herbert Hoover died. So Gerald Ford said at the Herbert Hoover Library how we'll get the first female president. And you should watch how it is, too, because it's just, like, really weird. A little girl asks him, hey, Mr. President, when are we going to get the first female president? And he's like, well, let me tell you how it's going to happen. There's going to be an old man, and he's going to die. And then there's going to be a younger woman who's vice president. She'll be the first female president. It's like, what? Why even such a specific prediction? Why like that? You know? But then for it all to just be this way. Oh, by the way, about March 4th today, I meant to say that right at the beginning. Them doing this today on March 4th. Today's the old inauguration day. This is when inauguration used to happen, March 4th. And why did they move it to January 20th? 20/1 like 201, the 201st day of the nation's age each year? Well, it's right there answered, because that's the number of the Jesuits who run this whole puppet show. Yeah, this nation's just such a joke. So, and let's not forget Kamala and Biden. Remember the first Democratic debate when they had the field? They were the whole storyline. Those two over busing. They got into it. Kamala outwitted Joe Biden. Now she's just taking a back seat as Joe Biden plays up the slow Joe role. I'm pretty sure Joe Biden's just not as slow as the character he plays on TV. Did you guys see him walking in Texas? He can't be in that frail of health. I mean, really? I used to live in a retirement community. There was all kinds of people in their 80s out for a walk each day. I mean, did you see Joe Biden's pace in Texas? If you didn't see Joe Biden walking around in pace, he was moving slower than the governor in his wheelchair. He was like taking 2-inch steps. Literally. Go back and watch. He's like this foot barely in front of this foot in front. It's just like, come on, man. This is a joke. President of the United States, he's got to have trainers, nutritionists around him. He can't be in this bad of shape. But it could all be part of the show for the soon demise. So they can get either Gavin in there at age 56, Jesuit Gavin, or Michelle for the return. Wouldn't that be so perfect to end up being Michelle and Barack on the campaign trail after Joe got removed? When Barack and Joe took office together way back when in 2009 by the numbers. Barack was 47. Joe Biden was the 47th vice president. Then Biden's in office in D.C. for 47 years before he becomes the president himself. When, again, president, White House, government authority, Republican, Democrat, they all equal 47. So does Trump. Trump's running on Agenda 47 right now. That Simpsons cartoon where Lisa Simpson runs for president in 2028, the year she'll be 47. Donald Trump's 2020 quote, I've done more in 47 months than Biden's done in 47 years. Again, these numbers all have meaning. 47th problem of Euclid for Freemasonry, the honorary degree of Freemasonry, the apprentice, Freemasonry 58, Donald Trump's huge 58 ritual winning the 58th election. Anyway. Shout out to Nathan. Nathan says loud and clear. Appreciate it, Nathan. And yeah, we'll keep this one under the hour mark. We'll leave it there for now. Again, feel free to visit the website, GematriaEffect.News. If you've never read my books, There's a whole lot on Donald Trump by the numbers in my first book, Letters and Numbers. There's more on him in Number Games, but a huge section on Donald Trump in Letters and Numbers. How many years in advance him winning the 58th election was foretold. Again, there's an episode of Suddenly Susan that came out in history on May 8th, 5/8, where he's the president, 20 years before he's president. Oprah equals 58, who asked him about being the president in 88. Oprah Winfrey also equals 58. We got a D26 sighting.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Pretty much catching up with a lot of things lately. I just happened to see you live on YouTube, and I saw your tweet recently about something regarding Donald Trump in the news. Since it's 4th of March, I think last year on this time only, on this date itself, I shared to you this long decode about how the previous date for inauguration of the president was on 4th of March.
Right.
Which was 201 days after the 15th of August, which was 201 days after. So the 4th of March is 201 days after Jesuit birthday. But then the date was shifted to 20th of January, which is officially called as the inauguration of the President of the United States, which if you just decode that official phrase given for 20th of Jan, which can be written as 20/1, the official phrase, inauguration of the President of the United States, equals 201. And 20/1 is 201st day of the nation's birthday on 4th of July. So just add that to your article, because I was just reading your article. I hope I called you on the right time. I hope you're still live on the video.
Yeah, we're still live on the video.
Add this.
For people who are not familiar with D26, he's our friend in India. He is the ultimate 201 decoder.
Thank you. So that was one thing I came into my mind, and I think I hope you have added that election year also equals 43.
Okay, in addition to election year also 43. Okay.
I hope so. I just need to check that. I think election equals 43, that I know, but I need to double check that. And yeah, just to add to everyone else, in case people, because I was supposed to make a post on that. I forgot to see that. I was not finding the post. I think it got taken down, or probably I just deleted myself. But I was thinking to repost that about the dates between the previous inauguration date of U.S. presidents, which compared to the new one. And anything lately, I will let you know. I will call you again, because I don't want to catch up with you, but I'm not getting the perfect time.
All right. Well, it's great to hear from you, D26. Appreciate the additional observations.
Thank you for taking my call. I will call you soon, probably this week, coming weekend, or probably anytime this week.
Okay. I look forward to it.
All right. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Have a good day.
Bye. That was the most efficient D26 call in the history of calls. If you're not familiar with D26, when he talks to me privately, he's like, I always better let you go because we've been talking for a while, and normally it's been a while. And then he'll get into another thought, and it'll be like an hour and a half later, and he'll be like, okay, I gotta let you go. I think that was a little bit longer than I meant to. Oh, hold on. And then it's like another 45 minutes later. It's like, oh man, I don't think we're ever going to get off the phone here today. But he's always got a lot to say that is interesting. And yeah, he's making the point that the Jesuit birthday, August 15th. So, like their last birthday was August 15th, 2023. And in a leap year, it's 202 days later. Like Skull and Bones is 202, like DC's the 202 area code. If it wasn't a leap year, it would be 201 days later. But the point he's making about January 20th, if you look at the U.S. website, the official name for that day is Inauguration of the President of the United States, I'm missing an E. Inauguration of the President of the United States. That's how they title the day, January 20th, 20/1, which is the 201st day of the nation's age each year. So you measure from July 4th to January 20th. Again, 201st day of the nation's age. 201. Huge number of the Jesuits. D.C., the Jesuit stronghold before it was the federal city. And let's not forget like what they did with Joe Biden. You had Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan leading the inauguration with Joe Biden swearing in on that big old fat Catholic Bible. Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan's the Jesuit priest who was the 42nd head of Georgetown. And the 42nd head of Georgetown. Just think about that too, because Georgetown's 42 like Jesuit. But the thing about Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan is he did the funeral for Beau Biden at age 46, and the inauguration for Joe Biden is number 46. And again, Beau Biden died exactly 201 days before Pope Francis's birthday, the first Jesuit pope, the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. It's called the Domus Sanctae Martyr, which is 201. Pope Francis' birth name is Jorge Mario Bergoglio, which is 201, like the founder of the Jesuits. Ignatius of Loyola is 201. And again, you can go on and on and on with that 201 pattern. It's no accident that Trump, also Jesuit educated, was burying his ex-wife on the 201st day of the year after her death ritual. Again, exactly 60 weeks into the Jesuit Ignatian year, the first ever one. And again, that Ignatian year went more than a typical calendar year. It went May 30th, 2021. Or excuse me, not May 30th, May 20th, 2021, the day Ignatius of Loyola was shot with a cannonball, to July 31st, 2022, the day in history that he died. And, yeah, when Biden's wife and daughter died way back when, they died on Limestone Road, which is 201, and the pyramids are made out of limestone, and Great Pyramid of Giza. I mean, you think about the Illuminati, right? Great Pyramid of Giza, 201. There's 201 remaining layers of stone on it. And Order of Illuminati, the official title of the Illuminati, founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, 201, who died 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment, kind of like State of Israel. The official title of Israel is 201, and David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister, died 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment, and it goes with Netanyahu stepping down on June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year, and then returning on 12/29, where 1229 is the 201st prime, and on and on and on and on. You can see who's really running the world when you learn the code, and again, the fact that the English language all goes back to the Catholic Church, standardized as we know it at the same time as the calendar, and how all of these rituals unfold over and over again. So, yeah, what a joke. On the old inauguration day, they do this. Here, let me check out one more thing about what D26 was saying about. Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah, I think we will leave it there, you guys. So again, thanks to everyone who hits the like and the share. And hey, it's a new month. At the beginning of the month, my Patreon support always falls way down. If you want to help support the work, if you want to pledge $1 on the Patreon, it's much appreciated. $1 does make a big difference. I know there's probably 1,000 people out there every month who think like, oh, my dollar's not going to make a difference. Well, it makes a big difference. Makes a big difference. So again, what should be happening right now in 2024, what I thought would be happening a couple years back when we were traveling all over the place and the work was building before it just got cut in half, I thought by now it would keep building. I thought we would have like literally a Team Gematria bus, team of employees. We'd be going city to city, pounding pavement, waking up people, stopping at every Trump convention, waking up all these Trump people who think this guy's going to come back and save us. They need to pull their head out of their ass. And for all of you who think they can't, you're wrong. We were at a Trump convention in Washington State, April 19, 2020. I woke up a lot of people there. I made a lot of people stop and listen. And I did learn something that day because I had a troll come up and he started talking all this shit. He was just like a troll online because he saw that I had a whole bunch of people around me gathered, stopping and listening. I was talking about what Trump had just done on January 21st, being at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, the day that COVID was confirmed in Seattle, and what the ritual was with that. People were into it, but this troll came up and started talking all this shit. And I said, fuck off, F blank blank G-O-T. You know this word, a word that always flows out of my mouth when people are pissing me off because I'm from the 90s. You should have seen this supposed crowd of conservatives. They're like, oh my God, what are you, homophobic? I was like, oh, I thought this was a crowd of conservatives. Guys, crowd of liberals here. I guess I'm not too far from Seattle. But man, the crowd just cleared out when I addressed this troll that way. And I was like, oh, I guess maybe I shouldn't do that. But I was getting annoyed because the troll just got next to me, was just talking all this shit in my ear about how dumb and tinfoil hat, everything I was saying. I was just like, you know, I wish it was the Wild West. I would have pulled out the strap and blew his head off. And back then, you know, people probably would appreciate it. Be like, damn, I like you even more. Keep on going, son. Problem is, we don't live in that world anymore. It's a world of softies, and it is a world now of F-A blank O-T's. You know what I mean? They've turned it into that. So, all right. Anyway, we'll leave it there, Truth Seeker. We'll be back later. And until next time.